Here we go. So now it's official, it's recording. I just really would like to warmly welcome everybody to this third module. And also acknowledge that we have all been, exploring our connection with nature in the second module. And now we're going to talk about a big topic, transformation of consciousness. We're not going to really be talking much about it, but just, a couple of things that I would like to dive in today a little bit, as much as time is, allow us. Before that, I would like to take a moment of silence and do a little bit of tuning in. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Perhaps those of you who have your microphone yet on, just perhaps you can put on mute, or I can even do it for you. Okay. Yeah, great to hear the ping ping people joining. So, welcome everyone. Again, I invite you, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes, take a deep breath. Just take another couple of deep breaths and keep welcoming yourself into this moment here and now. And now I invite you to also connect with this global community that we are representing here. People from different parts of the world. Let's imagine threads of light connecting us. And in the center, the topic of our live session today, our third module, transformation of consciousness. Let's open our mind, heart, and connection to the mysteries, to welcome all the insights, learning, and sharing possible for this session with those present here, but also with those not able to be present here today with us. Now for a moment, I would like to invite you to open your eyes and just look the faces, if you can see the faces. Natasha, you're, nice, thank you. And I just would like, before we close this moment of attunement, to welcome the diversity we bring here. It might be that at the moment you feel really connected to your culture, to where you come from, to something in particular that right now you'd like to say, I would like to welcome that. Your gender, your sexual orientation, your abilities and non-abilities, anything that is present with you here and now. Just so we kind of feel we can really have a sense of what is present. I can start. I would like to welcome the world of parenting, motherhood. And non-parents as well. I'd like to welcome men and women, different ages, people who feel young, people who are young in age, people who feel elder, wiser, different stages of life. I'd like to also welcome people from all nations, all colors, those who identify themselves as students, others are teachers. Welcome those of us who feel they have a spiritual practice and a clear connection with that path, and those of us who are seeking that, or walking that path of clarity, of knowledge. Some of us might have been very at home with the contents of this material, of this course. Some of us may feel completely open and expanded in a very new way, and welcome that sense of beginner's mind and the overwhelming of getting to know new things, as well as the sense of getting home with something that is known to us. I'm sure there is much more, and I can also want to welcome the silence, but I just can allow about a few seconds, and if you don't want to say anything, that's, or you don't, then we can close and continue with the session. If there is anything that you don't feel is representing you, you can say, otherwise it's also good.
I would like to welcome good health as well. It's not really representing me, but I think, I hope it's representing many people, or at least it's what we all want for ourselves, for the others, and for the planet in general.
Thank you, Nadia. Welcome good health, and also those who don't feel in good health. Thank you. I'm going to close this circle here now, but we can, if there is anything during the session that you feel like I would like to bring that in, just feel free. It's just very important that we feel represented. So now with the lovely information that Christiane, do I say your name properly? Christiane, Christiana, Christiane. Okay. So with this information that you brought, to just will allow, hopefully, with your help, perhaps, to do a brief exercise. Before I go into that, I would like to hear from you. Do you have anything that you would like to discuss in this session? Did you come with something that you thought, oh, maybe that would be a great topic? Or I know it's new. We just, we started the module today, so maybe many of you haven't had a chance yet to look. No. That's okay. That's good. So, transformation of consciousness. We will have 3 parts, the third module, 3 parts. And those parts, I'm shifting my screen here so I can remind myself of things. So we're going to be looking at multiple perspectives. You're going to be diving more into this. Also going to be looking at spirituality. And we're going to be looking at the connection of mind, body, heart, and spirit. In the area that is integrated, it's called integrating multiple perspectives. We have something called integral theory. And have you heard, any of you heard of integral theory from Ken Wilber? Yeah, have you used? That's great. So you might know. So only you have used Christiane, right?
Yeah, I use it. It has been a part of my teaching since 2001.
Wonderful. So you're actually going to really be. I invite you to really help me.
I love it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I have not had the opportunity to use it myself, and I know very superficial, like just the contents of the material. And I think I have been to a few sessions healing Finhor for a period in the foundation. Some groups were using more, but I wasn't part of those groups. Nevertheless, a lot of people feel very drawn to that method, if you will. So I would like to propose that we use them. Let me say a little bit about this method, and Christiane, feel free to fill in the book. I'm just going to be very like in a nutshell. Basically, in the mid-90s, Ken Wilber developed this, and it's basically a way in which you can see, perceive anything in the world, any situation that happens in the world. And he broke these ways of seeing, of interacting, of perceiving experiences in the world in 4 quadrants, which he called let me go here so I don't want to miss anything.
Sure. You can actually share your screen.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can, but it's okay. I just want to be quick because I think it's quite easy in terms of a simple exercise that I want to propose to you. So there is the I, the we, the it, and the eats. We're not going to go like very deeply, but I just want you to have a taste of how to use this tool. So the I is subjective, that can bring the thoughts, emotions, memories, states of mind. The we is intersubjective. That's how he calls. Maybe we keep that aside. The I, the we. The we is shared values, meanings, relationships, cultural background. So this is one sort of the interior part, the individual part, and then you have the it and eats. It being the material body, anything that you can see, touch, observe, and the eats, the systems, network, technology, government, or natural environment. So basically, we, right? As an individual, my own journey internally, how do I see the world through my own inner, life experience, views, the we as a collective, as a body, as a group, the it, looking from the perspective of a sort of a scientist, looking from this perspective of being an object that you can touch, that you can feel, measure, and the eats, which is, let me see what they say, systems, network, technology, natural environment. So what I thought to do is to divide us in groups, and that's again what I will help Christiane. And then I would like you to discuss from one, so we're going to divide people into I, we, it, eats, and you're going to discuss a little bit spiritual practice, which is another topic within the third module. So spiritual practice from those different angles. The idea with this is to, again, to welcome the incredible diversity of understanding of what a spiritual practice is, also your own experience of a spiritual practice. And so hopefully in the invitation is that you can be as personal as possible within that angle, and then we're going to share with each other, you know, what is spiritual practice through that angle. Would that be something interesting, or what do you think? Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a bit complex to ask, but I asked already. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering how we can record this so that the people who will see the video recording will be able to follow the individual discussions.
They won't. They will only see the group that stays in the classroom.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And I think the invitation, you know, basically people will see the harvest of the exercise. And you have plenty of exercise and activities to do during the course. I think it's more for us here a way of sharing. Of course, you know, we can also share about direct what is spiritual practice for us, but I thought it would be an interesting way of using already a tool that you'll be exploring during this third module. Are you up for it? Feel free to say no. Okay, are you up for it? Yeah, okay, everybody's very quiet. Team, are you okay? Are you on board? Are you up for trying?
I'm just trying to think through the logistics of how it's all going to work.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So I'm just trying to think through the logistics of how it's all going to work.
Oh, yes, yes. That's why I'm so glad Christiane is here. She's going to help us. Okay, so apparently, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Is that right? No. Yeah, 3, 6, 8 people. We have 8. So that would be about, we can divide in 4, maybe 2. Shall we have 4 people in each, and then you explore like the whole I and we, and then also the eat and eats. Maybe, but maybe that would be a bit more simple and hopefully fun as well, because it kind of broaden a little bit. So we need to create another 2 classrooms, is that right? Or maybe another 1?
No, you just create, you create so that you create an extra Zoom room.
Okay. So
you just create 1 room then, and then you send 4 of us away.
Oh yes, and then 4 people can stay here, and then I can stop recording, you know, participate a little bit in the conversation or not. Okay. So how to choose?
Or you can choose to send all of us away in classrooms, and you can sit alone and wait.
As well. Yeah, so let's see how to work these classrooms. I have here the GEDS Design Ecological. That's definitely going to have rooms. How to create a room?
You just go down to the button where it says Zoom rooms. You just create somewhere there is a place where create it.
The name here. What is the name?
It doesn't matter. Room 1.
Yeah, GEDS 1. Let me see. GEDS 1, and then. I wonder. I'm not so sure how to do this.
You can just say how many you want to have in there.
Yeah, but it has a name here.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you need to add people.
I'm going to stop the recording for a moment. Just pause recording again. Okay, we are recording again. We have changed a little bit. Let me just, in a frame for people watching the video. We didn't manage to create the rooms, but now we're going to then explore the topic spiritual practice in a circle here with all of us here, and then using the 4 quadrant: I, we, eat, eats, and then we all can learn from each other direct. And we're going to take about 5 minutes in each perspective. We're going to start with I. So would you like to start, Christiane, or I can start? Maybe you have more.
No, that's okay. You can start.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you to do that.
Okay. Yeah, so
no, don't feel shy about it.
No. I'm okay. I'm okay not knowing. I have passed the phase of feeling like I need to know. I need to know more. I'm glad I passed that. So yes, a spiritual practice in my view at the moment, and because we're going to have 5 minutes and want to hear a little bit from everybody, I'm just going to be, one point. Spiritual practice makes me feel connected to something that is bigger than myself, and that's important for me. It just helps me anchor that feeling of connection with something that is bigger than, my sense of myself.
And you want me to go on, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be helpful.
Yes. When I think about the spiritual practice from I, that has to do with me experiencing, me feeling, me connecting with whatever, me connecting with me getting in touch with my intentions. Yeah, so it's what I'm feeling. It's very much about that.
Do you want to be a bit more personal about something? It would be helpful. Thank you for the introduction. Very, very helpful.
Yeah, it's like when I sit down and I meditate and I go inside and I just feel, that's just I in some sense. But I could also choose to say that I go in and I connect with the bigger perspective, the we, as well. But if we're now just talking about it from the I perspective, then it's just what I feel. I do that. I mean, I've been meditating since 79, so it's a lot of years. And I think, I just think that 5 minutes isn't long, so I don't think I should go on.
No, just like if we all bring something, it's almost like a weaving.
Yes.
Yeah, weaving a tapestry of knowledge about the spiritual practice and how it touches us through these different ways. But you did it beautifully. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who else? Can you see now? Can you see the...
Yeah, Tim, you could go on and test the waters. Tim, if you are willing to.
I have really my entire life struggled to separate religion from spirituality. I grew up with a very religious, somewhat fundamental family, and I'm a gay man, and so there was a lot of drama and strife in my younger years around religion, and so basically after I came out, I kind of just walked away and turned that entire part of my brain and soul off. And so I struggle with these kind of exercises a lot because I really don't, I've just kind of closed that whole religious, spiritual side of myself off. And so, I mean, honestly, the closest thing that I can say that gives me a level of kind of internal peace is riding my bike through the woods. That's probably a thing that just makes me super happy and makes me feel, really, really focused and centered. Other than that, I haven't, like I said, I struggle with a lot of these kind of spirituality practices. So this is a very interesting dimension for me, because it's definitely something I'm not very familiar with or even necessarily that comfortable with. You know?
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Would you like to choose next?
Well, Therese is next to me, so I'll just pass the baton.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. I was actually just wondering how many of us actually practice. I mean, you just mentioned the bike ride, that this is where I kind of feel centered. So I'm wondering how many people actually practice something, just don't call it how this module or how this dimension now calls it. But you made it a lot. Sorry?
I said that's a good point.
Yeah.
And because you actually now made it accessible for me, the topic as well, because before I was like, what shall I say? Because I wouldn't have framed it as spirituality first. But I think for me, where I feel centered was actually just when we started the session. And I didn't say it before because I wasn't sure if it fits or not, but when I saw actually the wind in Natasha's hair, and I am hearing the birds here outside of my window, and then I had to think of Nadia's story of the bird who is sitting on her top window, and I just felt like everything that we all share is just the air we are currently all breathing, so there's just this oneness. And yeah, just being out in nature and enjoying the inner silence, just taking in the sounds from my surrounding. And I pass it on to Natasha, as I've mentioned you already.
Thank you, Teres. It's very interesting topic, and like for me, is like in my intention, the body is how I see myself. I see it as a boat that is floating into my life. So when I'm getting connected with myself, like I like to feel my body, how I feel, if I feel pain, if I feel a relief. So I don't really understand this barrier, like this cross line that is removing the body from the inner self, let's say. And yes, and these moments are meditation or just observation are very interesting. They somehow showing how I have to go into my life. And this is what I have to share, and maybe sharing the it and the I at the same time. And I can pass it. I had Teres and Tim next to me. I can pass it to Nadia.
I also struggled with the question first, so I'm glad I wasn't first to pass. I've got a bit more clear idea of how this works now. I think it's great actually to practice, so I'm thankful for this exercise, although just like Tim said, I'm also not feeling very comfortable with it. I think I would say normally that I'm not a spiritual person, but I might just change this now. And I'm going to say I actually spend a lot of time recentering myself and reconnecting with whatever the word spirituality means. I actually spend a lot of time with my thoughts. I think it's more like an inner dialogue. It's from the moment I wake up in the morning, I lay in bed and it's like I talk to a friend or I talk to a therapist. I don't really know what it is, but I just analyze something I've just read and I stop and I go thinking about it. But instead of thinking about it in a practical way, like, okay, this is what I've learned, this is what I can do, I just go on wondering about it and I start a dialogue as if I was like writing a report about it or something. But this time I do it every day, and I think I actually need it. The days where I'm very busy and my mind and my body is busy doing all sorts of things, either with people or on my own. I don't get that time where I just lose myself and I just lose time basically doing nothing. But for some reason, it's actually my inner resource time. So I don't really know how to explain it, and I've never said that to anyone before either. But I see a lot of nodding, so it's a bit reassuring me. I'll pass it on to Victoria.
Okay, thanks, Nadia. I had been involved, like kind of practicing meditation and that sort of thing, but I find myself not being able to focus enough sometimes. So I'm kind of not doing it too often and properly. But in the morning, sometimes I do also kind of try to figure out what my daily schedule will be. So I try to get myself ready for the tasks and just like kind of reminder of what I have to do, sort of things. And as the other said, like I also feel like energized when I'm going on the forest, and sometimes going for a run or something, and when you feel like you can focus on something and your mind is kind of like switched off, and you're just kind of like not really thinking about anything, but you feel like, I don't know what you feel really, but kind of being energized and that you are able to do things maybe. And also I feel sometimes stillness, particularly when I'm near to a river, and then if calms me down, like takes my mind away from negative thoughts and also energizes me. Rather than that, I don't think I have a lot to say about the topic. So I would like just to pass it to Martina.
Yes, when what I try to feel when I do spiritual practice, that I would connect with this I section. I think it is to try to connect with that part of me that is not playing a role somehow. Who am I when I am not, I don't know, friend, worker, Italian, whatever. What remains if I can get away from all these conditioned roles that I have, and what is this essence that remains then? And something that I'm also very much exploring is how can I get in connection with this inner potential, what is driving me, what is making me feel alive, what is giving me this gratitude for being here. And sometimes I have to look a lot to find this connection. And sometimes it comes even without doing anything. So, and something that helps me a lot getting in touch with these parts of me is also nature, being outside. Yeah, I think this is what I'd like to share right now. And then I'll pass it on to Kubra.
Hi. When I do spiritual rituals, I usually think a lot, not empty-minded space for me. I think a lot, and this is something called tefekkür actually in my religion. This is an important ritual. You can do it anytime and at anywhere. You choose a topic. This is my topic now, acceptance. We call it kabul. I usually think about that these times, and I sometimes find good answers. Sometimes I got lost, but I think thinking and feeling the things that have been going on of me and in my world, it is so important in my spiritual rituals. This is what I want to say to you, to share, and that's all I think. Is someone?
You're the last one for now, Cobra. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Wow, amazing. And like the time was just perfect for one. And before we say goodbye to a couple of people, I want to really appreciate you, Christiane, for joining and framing so nicely and helping. And also you, team, to open that, because that was for me the sort of the heart of this exercise for me, and to start speaking about spiritual practice, is that most of us, we think of medication or Tai Chi or this or that, but actually it isn't. Is anything, in my view, and of course, you know, we are many views here, but at least I would like to welcome once again, like making love is a spiritual practice, dancing is a spiritual practice, holding a baby, a connection in nature, riding a horse, a bicycle, so many ways that it helps us to connect. In many ways that
I'll join in 5 minutes.
So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for opening that, team, for framing so well. Also, thank you for all of you for being personal and, you know, vulnerable by telling, you know, what affects you. And I'm happy to stay another 10 minutes if people wish to. Yeah, you can go. If people want to do the we. Otherwise, we can also close here. But let's hear you, Christiane, before you go, and team as well.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. And then I want to say that a word that really came to me after I'd been speaking that I would have liked to say as well is that coming from the I think it's really about presence. And that came through very well in what everybody was saying in different words. And you said it, Rona, anything can be a spiritual practice. It's more a question of how do we do it? From which perspective do we do it?
Yeah. The commitment, right? The commitment.
Yeah, and it's about being present, being there deliberately, and being connected to what we are doing. And then it does not matter if it's biking in the woods or whatever it is. And I've heard so many people saying, hey, I'm not spiritual, and I'm in, feeling like inhibited or, you know, from the term. And really, some of the people who's not calling themselves spiritual, I've sometimes found to be the most spiritual because they're actually present in exactly where they're doing and what they're doing. So I just really want to say that in particular to you, Tim, because when you're saying that you don't think biking, I mean, I don't know how you're biking, but to me, it could be spiritual or not. But if you're finding peace in it, it's very likely that you're doing it in a very spiritual way, and that you're just not connecting when people are talking about angels and, you know, symbols. Mm-hmm. But beyond symbols, it's really about how we're present. And that, Yeah,
Yes.
and I need to run.
Mm.
And I'm sorry because this is exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christian, again. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
I have to run as well.
Yeah.
So take care and have a good meeting.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wonderful. So that was nice, huh? That gives us a little bit, does make you feel a little bit more in touch with the idea of this, a little bit of exploration. I often ask people, I live in Finland for 15 years, so I have been in touch with a lot of people in that journey of spiritual life and what it means. And so often I heard that sort of a struggle about finding a way. And often I would ask people, when do you remember a time where you feel really in love, connected to something bigger than you? And different kind of making different questions, but it's kind of, or when you felt really present, to use the word, that you felt like, it was not an I, even what Martina beautifully also said. And then people would come up with all sorts of things, different than walking my dog. I often feel so like I forget about myself, and I'm so present, and I'm so enjoying. And so that's kind of part of what I would like to invite all of you to be open for. What is your nature, your natural way of connecting to whatever it is that you consider to love, to God, to nature, to spirit, whatever word that helps you to understand, to feel connected to something that you would call spiritual. So this is the invitation. So do I have all of you for another 10 minutes, or how are you doing? Shall we do another round, compensate for the time we're late? So exploring the we. And let's just do the we, with your permission. I think the I and the we will go together, and then it's shared values, meanings, language. So meaning obviously culture, right? Relationships and cultural background. So if you kind of adjust your mind into the part of you that is part of one of those you can think of spiritual practice as being part of a family, part of a community, an organization, a group of some sort, you and your partner, you in your country, in your culture. Like Kubra was already saying, your example is very much related to the we, right? Because you're talking about your culture, your way of having rituals. So that would be a perfect example of speaking about spiritual practice from that perspective of we. Is that good enough explanation? Can you attune to that? Yeah, Nadia? You okay? Yeah, can you follow that? Are you able to follow that? And
Yeah.
okay, cool.
You want me to start, or?
You can, that would be great. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the we is definitely my family. It's what I identify the most, not necessarily because we are similar, but just because there is a bond that drives my decisions and my feelings and my memories. Whenever, unfortunately, I don't have much of my family left, there's only my mother, and I don't live with her, so I only see her when I go on holidays. And when I don't feel well, when I have bad news, for example, the first thing that comes to my mind is her. When I need to find strength for something coming up, that's bringing me some anxiety. I think of my father, for example, although he's not alive anymore. So the family is my force, and I know it's the same the other way around as well. They've either said it or they've showed it by their behavior. I haven't actually told that to them. So it's a very strange way of expressing it. And I think what Christian was saying about the presence is also very important. I only realized that a couple of years ago, my mother came to visit me and I had to go to work, and I organized something for her to do during the day. And she told me, I'm not here to do something, I'm just here to see you. And we were sitting in the lounge and I was doing some of my work and she was just reading something. And that's when I realized it's the connection and it's the presence. And even if I don't see her regularly, I know she's there. And when we are together, we don't need to do anything. We're just present with each other. So that's my we.
Beautiful. Beautiful way for entering, example of a way of sharing spirituality is, a practice of presence. Beautiful in a we, in a family. Thank you. Would you like to pass to someone else?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Include it as well. You include me and then.
It's okay. I'll pass to Natasha next.
Thank you, Nadia. Very touching, your speech. For me, the way I was trying to think, and at the beginning I was not finding something to share, but then I realized that when I'm really present with other people is when I'm acting, when I'm in the theater. That is not my job, it's not my occupation, but it's really something that I do it all my life. And I had the chance to study the present being in the performance. And now when I do it, I really feel that all my soul is on the stage and is for the people attending. And we had a show like some days ago, and it still has something to me, and it was about love. It was a show about love, and this was my we recently, and I work a lot for it, and I'm happy to share with you.
Thank you, beautiful. I want to see it.
I will send you some pictures on the I pass it to Victoria.
Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, I think I was thinking about the V as well. Yeah, it is quite difficult for me. I think firstly, my family is the V as well, but I live quite away from my family at the moment. So I have a son. You probably have seen him zooming in and out. So that's a kind of like other connection in my life. But as he's quite young, we don't really have proper discussions, which I am missing. So I'm lucky to have some friends here. I can have like some different other discussions, but kind of, yeah, it's just different. As a mom, you probably know as well. So like you talk different to a child than to adults. But I enjoy sharing games with him, and yeah, and trying to be with him as much as I can. But also being by myself, it is not easy to do my stuff, and trying to occupy him as he's quite attracted to computers. So when I am not trying to engage him with anything, then he's just trying to play on the phone or watching videos or something. So instead of playing by himself, so I try to take him like trips, and we are going to walks and things like that. But obviously there are other things I have to do. So I have to negotiate, and sometimes I feel guilty, like I'm not spending enough time with him. What else? Yeah, well, yeah, we speak the same language, and yeah, I try to kind of share my cultural background with him, but also I'm from Hungary and we are living now in Scotland, so he's a kind of like getting two worlds. So I think hopefully he's making the most of it, trying to learn the values, the good things from both cultures. Yeah, I think that's what I can think about this topic, and I would like to pass it to Kubra.
When I think about we, I realized when you were talking, my we has changed. When I was a child, my we was my family, my mother, my father, and my sister, and my brother. Then I grew up and I had a boyfriend at university, and he is my husband now. We are together for 15 years, and we were we then, but suddenly I realized that my we has changed again, because I am a mother now, but not the we is my husband, my daughter, and me. As I mentioned before, I am living in a forest, off-grid living, and I am living in nature for 4 years as an off-grid living. So the forest is we now. I want to explain it somehow. On weekends, some hunters came to the forest to hunt our animals. And when I woke up, sometimes I can't hear anything. All of them get silence because they know they are here, and I know they are here. So one day I told my husband that they came here again and they are ruining our peace. I said our peace. When I said that, I was talking about him, me, Asya, and the coyotes and the squirrels and the birds. All of us are frogs. We are now much more, and this is my we now. I heard some bad news today. This is a gold mine near to our land. Our government gave them permissions, legal permissions, but in the city, lawyers make some accusations and they started to fight the mining. And we were struggling with that, not to start. They are on development now, but we heard from the villagers that they are giving work for them, and they started training them for the mines. And I'm so sad. This is my bad day. So I don't know what is next. Maybe we are going to live there. I don't know, because they say the company is going to start mining next year, next summer. So we have 1 year there. I don't know what's going to be, but I know that my we has changed a lot. Today I have learned it. Thank you. Who should I pass? Therese. I can pass to Therese. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuba. I was actually just about to write a slow goodbye, but since you passed me the word, I will briefly say something as well. And first of all, I'm very sorry to hear what's happening or might be happening. I'm an optimist, and I don't want to accept right now this might be a reality. Coming back to the original question, the first thing that came to my mind was, and I feel a bit sorry that I changed another topic as you just shared the thing with the forest, Cuba. So sorry for the switch back from this huge thing that is approaching in your life. So the first thing that came to my mind regarding this question is actually the online yoga community. This morning I did yoga thanks to an online platform. I'm just wondering how many people around the globe are following exactly the same video, or just are part of this and are calm in any other corner of this planet. And another thing that came to my mind I think he was from Colombia, and he was with Victoria and Martine and me in the social dimension. And I think it was him who posted something cultural creative. And I was following up on this a bit and watching the video or this documentary that is online there as well. Where I then actually feel that the we has nothing to do with the geographic location. Like I'm waking up here in northern Germany, but I know you are all around somewhere else on this planet, and I feel that this is a we because we look in the same direction. And the third thing that came to my mind is the people with whom I studied in Sweden. Also just because I know when I talk with them, I feel home, because we just understand each other, because we probably share similar worldviews or dream of a similar future. So this for me is as it's like outlined in where you shared the screen before, it's all about the shared values. And then it's actually, as some of you mentioned, families. I actually think there is a stronger weave with people that I studied or with people that I'm talking right now to, than necessarily people from my village or where I grew up. Yeah, I see there's sometimes a value gap or just different. Yeah, you can live so close to each other, but live in two different worlds, even in a house. So I think with this, I will say goodbye and pass it on to Martina. And see you next week, I guess.
Thank you for your participation.
Or like, just a question, are we finishing just this round, or do we then continue with
finishing this round? Yeah.
Okay, then I can. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for all these beautiful, touching sharings. It's hard to add something. But what came to my mind is some experiences I did lately that also did not have so much to do with where I come from or what culture I belong to, or not even necessarily shared values. But I made the experience with some people I had never seen before, that we were meeting in a circle and just sharing what is alive in us right now, and without judging, without trying to find solutions for anything, just listening. And just again, also what Christiane said before about the presence, just be there with your whole presence. And what happened in a couple of these occasions was that I could feel a really, really strong field of energy that carried the whole circle, and that made it possible for people to really speak without fear, and also having this feeling that the single energies were amplified, and that the space grew bigger, and there was not only us there, but maybe also a bigger energy. I don't know what it was, but it felt very strong. And so I was thinking, this is the we that I would like to feel. And I think it really was possible because just a few people were there with their open hearts. And this is an experience that is quite new for me, because I'm very much up in my head. So having had these experiences now wants me to explore much more of this. And maybe it is something similar to the concept we had in the last module, which is the way of counsel I read about, and it like seemed to connect in my mind. I don't know, but it was a very beautiful experience. So this is what I would like to share as this we experience I had.
Oh, thank you. Oh, beautiful. I'm the last, and I would like to share something as well, which is my experience in community with ayahuasca, which is, you know, a region, a community shared ritual back in Brazil. And this particular, you know, there are many rituals, but this particular one that I would like to say more is when the whole community, like almost then at least one person of each family representing every family would be, and we would be about 400 people in this temple, open temple in nature, and for a journey of 8 hours. And is everybody dressed in white. And there is a very simple sort of movement that goes like this, just sort of a dance that you stay for the whole night, taking ayahuasca and singing beautiful prayers. And that after the ritual, or during, looking the whole community, children, babies, women, men, and in the middle the musicians, it was just extraordinary, the sense of that. I remember at the end, and people would look in each other's eyes, and it was a completely different meeting. And it would last for about a week, 3 days to a week, that the whole community, you would feel the atmosphere of the community being shifted in a state of sort of a blissful acceptance state. And that was a very powerful spiritual journey that I have done. I lived for 3 years in that particular community with ayahuasca, and it was very, very special. So this is my we as well, my experience of spiritual practicing, you know, as a we. And thank you so much for everybody participating. I hope for those who will watch this video, if people feel drawn to share the I and the we, the experiences, and how they perceive, how they experience spiritual practice through those two lenses. It would be nice to hear on the forum, and we can continue the conversation there if you feel juicy about. And I echo Kuber, thank you so much for sharing. I'd like to close this taking a moment of silence and also sending our, you know, the best of our intentions for the best of your region, your country, and for healing, for transformation of consciousness. May it, you know, may everything that we have been doing here and learning can also touch those around us that doesn't have the privilege of accessing this information. So, yeah, let's take a moment. Give thanks for this time shared, for all that we have been saying. And now let's bring our hearts together and send blessings to the land around Cobra and her family, all the animals, all the life of all realms there. May they be protected, safe, respected, and loved. Thank you. You can slowly open your eyes. And I see you soon. Next live session or in the forum. Thank you. Bye-bye.